everybody, welcome back to Geekdom Movies. This was our very first early screening that we did in our own house. STX Entertainment contacted us. They said they liked some of our other reviews of similar movies in this genre of kind of realistic horror, and we wanted to do an early screening for them, and they asked us to. So we are reviewing Greenland.
Yeah, let's hope you liked it. You may never hear from STX again if we're not a fan of this movie. I'm kidding. STX, send us. Well, even if you didn't like this movie, I promise we'll like some other movie you guys did.
Yeah, I think that all three of us really liked this one. Okay, so we are going to jump into movie news, and Fahad has some updates for you on what's going on in this insane, crazy 2020 world of movies right now. So
yeah, so I got thanks, Shannon. So we got 10 emails asking us what do we think of Warner Brothers Studios jumping to 2021, releasing every single one of their movies onto HBO Max streaming, like with no theatrical release. If it's still shut down and if theaters do open, they'll still release it on HBO Max. Now this is earth-shattering news, because this is officially we are now at the point of we're saying sayonara to the movie world or the movie industry. Like a movie, sorry, not the movie world. Movie world will continue to survive because Netflix, HBO Max, and Disney Plus, and Hulu and Amazon Prime are just blowing. They're making billions of dollars a year. So the streaming service will be fine, and movies, of course, will continue to release. But the issue is, now that Warner Brothers has officially announced that all of their theatrical release, so we're talking Wonder Woman 2 now, we got Birds of Prey 2, we got Dune, we got Fantastic Beasts 3, we got, they announced 17 movies next year that are going straight to streaming. Matrix 4, we got Matrix 4 coming. All of those movies are now being released on HBO Max simultaneously with some theaters that will stay open or maybe open across the world. So, for example, Wonder Woman 2 drops Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. I can't remember. It's Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas. Whenever.
So that movie, even though it's going straight to HBO Max, which we all three have, we're actually really enjoying HBO Max, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Even though it's being released straight to HBO Max, other countries will still be able to go see Wonder Woman 2 in theaters in their IMAX, Dolby, and regular 3D theaters, just not in America. Because we are
being punished. No, I'm just
well, technically, but with the pandemic, that's what's happening, and then they just jumped the gun. Now, a lot of people are saying, look how terrible Warner Brothers is. They are hurting the movie studios. This is not okay. How could they do this? They should prolong the movies. I don't want Dune to be prolonged. I want to see Dune now if I could, and I'm not gonna say Wonder Woman 2 right now if I could,
Mm-hmm.
And look, Warner Brothers isn't the first studio to do this. Disney beat us to it with Mulan and what's that movie that we all didn't like, Artemis Fowl. 2 theatrical releases that came straight to Disney Plus. We got Onward, which was only out for a week or two, right? And then 2 weeks later you could watch Onward on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Now Pixar Soul is coming out now on Christmas Day with Wonder Woman, both getting released Christmas time. So they're not the first studio to do this. The first studio to do this was actually Universal Studios when they announced that Trolls 2 started it all. And we remember, if you go back to our videos and talk about it, how upset AMC theaters, Cinemax, Landmark, Imagine, all those movie theaters were like, how could you, Universal? Because kids' movies make the most money, parents buy the most candy, popcorn, chocolate, Coke, Freezies, hot dogs, pizza, beer for the children. I don't know. It happens.
Beer for the children.
They do. Kids' movies are the bank of the movie the movie theater industry. Okay, you were mad. You were right, and I agree that people should be upset. But here's the thing: AMC theaters then decided what? They were going to work with Universal Studios to allow them to continue to make movies that they can release on demand and on streaming and on theaters at the same time. What do you think Disney and Warner Brothers is going to do? You were the first one to agree to it. Now, I really believe this. If AMC Theaters would be like, no deal, screw off Universal Studios, you're not going to be able to stream Fast and Furious 25 in space and, all the other Universal Studios movies like Trolls 20, whatever they're making, and other, Jurassic World 3, whatever else is going on. If you hadn't said that it's okay and you agree with it, Warner Brothers Studios and Disney wouldn't have gone down this path. But you worked with Universal Studios to give out a signal to other movie studios, hey, you know what? You can do this. AMC, if you're going to go down for this, and other movie theaters, if you're going to go down for this, even though I don't think it's Cineplex, Landmark, Imagine's fault, and other movie studios I can't think of, but it is 100% AMC Theaters' fault for working with Universal Studios. Because you made that statement, and now Disney and Warner Brothers are following the same logical path. If the theaters are open, we will open them in movie theaters, but we're also going to release it on Disney Plus, HBO Max, streaming. It's your own fault. You did it. You can't blame other studios for following along with it. That's my only thing. Now, I do hope AMC Theater survives and other movie theaters, because I am one of the few people that loves going to the movies. I love my IMAX.
Yes, you do.
I love my 3D movies. I love my comfy chairs, and I love my Dolby as much as George here does. He loves his Dolby too. He's thinking about going back. So, as a film fan, as a person, if I had a choice, I have a great audio system. We have a great television. We got to see Greenland on Shannon's beautiful 4K television. We connected our Bose speakers. And yeah, it's not a movie theater experience. It's still good enough, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if that is the case, yeah, like, if I have to choose between that or, like, going to the movie theaters, I'm one of the few that will say I would rather go see Dune, Disney, Frozen 3, whatever, Wonder Woman 5, Avengers 22. I will choose Dolby first. That's going to be me. I'll still watch it at home, but I want that first blockbuster, big movie sound. I mean, like, okay, we are about to do Greenland review, but Greenland had great sounds, great cinematography, really intense action scenes that would have been even better on the big screen, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. It's not that I'm against it. It's just theaters are shut down. So we're getting Greenland to be able to screen it at home. It's understandable. My friend Sean, he texted me, oh, I just saw that in theaters in Taiwan. And he was able to go see it in IMAX in Taiwan, because they're still open over there. And he was like, I loved it. It was so great. I'm like, oh, we're watching it at home. He's like, and he actually texted me saying, oh, I would have preferred it at the movie theater. That movie was amazing on the big screen. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
So my only statement is, this sucks. I wish AMC Theaters hadn't worked with Universal Studios. If you guys would have just said, no thank you, Universal Studios, we wouldn't be the place we were in. You could have survived it. I hope something changes, that movie theaters can survive somehow. I'm going to throw it over to George and Shannon. You guys can share what you think of this news, if whatever you guys want.
Shannon, you want to go first?
I don't have a super strong opinion on this one.
Really?
I like watching movies at home. What can I say? I have a great TV.
Oh, yeah.
Good sound system. I can get up and pause the movie and get snacks and drink my tea. And I like the movie theater, but I like going to the movie theater for the really, really big stuff. A little bit, volume needs to be a little higher. I like going to the movie theater for the really, really big stuff. These kind of movies where I'd much rather sit around and eat my popcorn and get up and pause the movie whenever I want. I like watching movies at home, so for me it doesn't make a huge difference. I know you really like seeing them in the theater. There's a few big movies that I would have really been excited to see in the theater. Soul being the main one. I'm a huge Pixar fan, huge fan of Up, and I was dying to see Soul in the theater, but being able to see it on Disney Plus, I have a nice TV. I'll invite some friends over. We'll have a good time. So.
All right, George.
All right. Well, I'd have to say I really think that we're going to see probably, I would say 20 to 30% of movie chains close because of this.
Yeah.
Just because of how much this is going to impact them. When you think about the cost it takes to keep movie theaters up and going versus the amount of money that they bring in. And when you think about like lots of people complain, me being one of them, of the price of concessions at movie theaters and how they keep going up, and they're pretty astronomically priced, I would have to say.
But you know what helps with that?
What?
The AMC Movie Club or the AMC A-List. Because
Really?
because remember, we only pay $20, and we can go to the movies as many times as we want.
Well, yeah. That's not what I was saying. I was saying I have more so an issue with concessions, which is where movie theaters are actually mostly making their money
From the concession. Yeah.
Yes. So when you look at that, it's like for them to actually be able to match it, like to raise their prices to a point where they could still succeed after this. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So they're going to have, as it was, there were already quite a few empty seats when I was going to the movies before the pandemic happened. So it's like going to the movies now, it's going to be very hard for movie theaters, and I think you're going to see a lot of places closing.
Unfortunately, that does look like the case. We'll keep you guys posted. Whatever happens, you have our thoughts and ideas. If another big event comes up with the movie industry and movie theaters, we'll share that news. So thank you for emailing us and contacting us and to share our thoughts about this new groundbreaking breaking news.
Alright guys, so STX Productions emailed us and said they liked some of our past reviews and they wanted us to review Greenland, and I had no idea what this movie was about. I didn't look at any trailers, I didn't look at anything. I just went into this blind, and I don't know if did you guys look at anything?
I didn't look at anything.
I didn't even know what this was.
I
didn't know either. I didn't even know it was a thriller. I thought it was a drama.
I thought it was going to be a boring divorce drama from what the cover looked like. That is not what I got at all. Let's jump into this one. This is a thriller, but it's very realistic.
Sci-fi.
There's really not a whole lot of sci-fi in it. This is a pretty realistic...
Yeah, it's very realistic.
Everything that's in this movie, it makes you feel like you're actually going through a natural disaster and trying to survive.
Yeah.
And for the first couple minutes of the movie, we were trying to figure out, is it going to be aliens? Is it going to be this?
That's right.
It is a survival film. That's as much as I'm going to say. And everything in this movie is very intense, and the characters are pretty well done. Each person that you interact with feels like a whole character, even if they're only on screen for a few seconds. Some of these characters that only had one or two lines, you felt like you understood their story and their backstory. It shows a lot of the good that you can see in humanity, a lot of the bad. But one thing that I liked was there really was not a villain in this movie, other than, that maybe one guy. Most of the people in that, they had justifiable reasons for what they were doing, and they had intentions that you could understand. And most of the people were trying to help each other survive, rather than it being one of those movies where you just see all the bad things about people and horrible things happen and more horrible things happen. This was kind of like people trying to help each other. There's a few bad guys, so don't think that there's none, but it does a good job of showing humanity. Everything you go through feels very realistic. It feels like you're living through it firsthand. I said this was like a 2-hour ball of stress movie, but it makes you think, because being in 2020 and that we are going through a pandemic, this movie makes you feel like, oh my gosh, things could really be so much worse, and maybe what we're going through isn't as horrible as we thought, but I don't know, that was my thoughts on it, because this movie makes it just seem like it could be so much more horrible than it is.
Just wait, that's like 6 years from now. No.
Oh gosh, don't say it.
December, Mayan calendar, is really 2020. Could happen in a month.
Also, this movie has...
December 22nd.
Really well, it's very well acted. It had a really cute kid in it who I think is going to go far. He seems like he really pulled off this role well. And it has a couple cameos, people that you'll recognize from other things. So
not really big cameos, just
small ones.
If you watch TV or movies, you'll be like, oh, I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
And what it really reminded me of most was A Quiet Place.
I was gonna say, it reminded me of, gosh, I can't remember.
What was that one tornado movie?
Twister,
I think. Yeah, that's kind of what it reminded me of in a way. Even though this obviously was on a much larger scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sort of what it reminded me of.
I haven't seen Twister in a
one thing
while.
I appreciated about this movie, the plot was really easy to follow.
Family, they're trying to survive a disaster,
Yeah.
and they have to get to safety somehow. Dun dun dun. Like,
And
it's very...
You
and
called
then
a few
go.
of the plot points. I don't think I would have as much.
I think George also did.
Much. You called a few of the things.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as calling movie plots, but you guys called some of it. But even so, it still keeps you intrigued and interested the entire
Very
time.
much so.
I was on the edge of my seat for
Yeah.
most of this movie.
So what would you, how would you rate it? Must see, not must see?
It has a really high score on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't necessarily think this is a must-see for everyone, but if you're into thriller genre, natural disaster movies, if you liked A Quiet Place, definitely go see this one.
I would say
Yeah,
go must see.
This is a good one.
Yeah, this is, for me, this is a golden popcorn type of movie. One, like, as George and Shannon said, this had, I had seen no trailers. I just had an email just drop into my inbox saying, hey, you guys want to do a review for this movie that we just made? And I said, sure. And I purposely made sure I didn't watch any trailers or, like, I mean, I did post a poster, but that's because I got an email from STX saying, check, can you guys do a review for this or early screening? So I was like, okay, yeah. But other than that, like, I think it was really good going in with fresh eyes. You know, this movie, if we were watching movies in theaters, we would have seen like 20 trailers for this movie by now.
Yes.
And it would have been as exciting.
It would have been so ruined.
Yeah.
Probably would have been ruined, yeah.
And to be like, okay, like, there's a disaster coming. We kind of figured it out. Something's gonna happen with. I mean, I'm just talking 10 minutes. So it's not spoilers. Don't worry. But like, they're talking about a comet. They're talking about like something passing by. The little kid's like, oh, it's from another solar system. So my mind kind of actually went, aliens. It's not an asteroid or a comet. It must be an alien ship. That's just where my head goes.
It could be, yeah.
But it did. I won't ruin if it did or didn't. But
oh my gosh, wow! I just realized something.
What?
You know what this reminds me of? Lost in Space. Boom.
The parts where they're on Earth, yeah. The parts where they're on Earth, yeah.
So like they're trying to escape Earth, but they have nowhere to go in this movie.
Yeah.
Well,
they're going underground. Lost in
they
Space going up.
Yeah.
They did in Lost in Space. They had nowhere to go. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I think Gerard Butler has always been underrated. I know he's known for like action movies, but damn, he kills it in this movie. Like, he's just a guy, a dad with marriage issues. He's trying to keep his family together, trying to fix his marriage somehow. Just an everyday, normal guy who's in a really tough position. Loved him in this movie. Loved it. And I think I noticed it even the last movie we saw with him. It was You and Me when it goes, Angel Has Fallen.
Yeah.
And while I was watching that movie, surprisingly, the director of those Angel Has Fallen movies is the director of this movie. They got a good thing going. I think they're making a good team. Like, they're understanding one another. And even though Angel Has Fallen is more like a political action thriller, this was like nothing like that. This was like, he played a normal guy. He's not taking off his jacket or shirt to show you how big his muscles are and like trying to find bad guys through the White House. He's just a normal dude who, you know, like Shannon was saying earlier, there's some scenes where there are bad guys, but they're just people that he has to, there's just situations or people that they just have to get through to get to safety, right? And in that moment, like, my mind was kind of like, oh, is he going to become like an action hero here? No, like, he's just a dad who's just like, I'm not giving you my wedding ring. And, like, why are you doing this? Like, he just did normal things that most normal people would do in that situation.
Wedding ring.
Well, they wanted his ring band, like, wedding ring. That's what they said.
No, they wanted his wristband.
Oh,
I didn't know they saw it.
No, yeah, that's why they kept eyeing him after that guy mentioned that he had it.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, because I thought he said.
Explain that earlier.
Yeah, because I thought he was saying because I thought he was trying to hide it, and he was showing his ring, and that's. Anyways,
Right.
I'm glad one of us caught that because again, you know, I just missed it. But it makes sense, and you know, even when he gets into that situation, his hand is shaking after that confrontation. He's not some action super who's seen blood and death and like takes care of a gun. He's a person. He's just a dad,
Yeah,
and
he's a guy.
it's traumatizing, and he acts like he's traumatized, which any normal person in that situation would. And I like that.
Usually Gerard Butler. No.
Yeah, this is like an action movie, but it doesn't have any action heroes in it. It's just normal people going about their lives. It was kind of cool to see it.
Yeah, like and you know, and there's some interesting, they do character stuff. There are some spoilers that do come out by the very end, and you learn a little bit more about that family dynamic and situation.
I was shocked to see those spoilers in there at the end.
But I like that.
It really up to it at all.
No, but it kind of showed like why there's a little bit of a distrust in that family situation and what they're working through, and I really enjoyed that. It's not like a shocking spoiler, but it's like something you can be like, oh, okay, like that's cool. The special effects, there aren't a lot, but when they show it, it looks beautiful. Like, oh my goodness, some of the atmosphere was just riveting. The camera work around cities or highways or people or shops or situations, like it was all very realistic looking.
Yeah,
like that's what it would look like if it were like, and I kept thinking it, like, because even there's a really beginning part where like they get in the car and they realize there's a comet coming, and then you see these people that just kind of like run into a store, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that you know, and he's like that, and then the guy and Gerard Butler, well, that didn't take long, and it's kind of like, yep, like if that would have happened, that is the first thing, that's how it would go, and it's not done in like a flashy way, it's not done in a like crazy big special effects action way, it's just like that's what would happen, and you got to see that. And even the military stuff, I really enjoyed the military scenes. Actually, some of my favorite scenes in the beginning of the movies were just this military base, these airplanes, and these people who are just trying to figure out how to like move people, help people, push people away. All of that stuff was so like, it wasn't flashy, it wasn't overdone, it was just like real. You know what I'm saying? And even the character stuff by the military people, I really appreciated that, because you're like, okay,
little character felt like a whole person.
And they may be in it for like 2 minutes, maybe in there for 10 minutes, but you can see all of them as real people in real situations.
Them to be stereotypes and jerks, and they're not.
Well, I'll say something interesting about that later.
Okay. So yeah, that's my review. I think you'll be pleasantly. I mean, I don't want to go into spoilers more than that. I think I'm just kind of giving you little bits here as to why you should watch it. But really check it out. I think, and if you're one of those people like, oh, Gerard Butler, he's so old and all he does is make action movies. Like, I think you'll be really shocked by him. And even the wife, she's from Firefly Serenity. She was in Deadpool as Ryan Reynolds.
Where she was.
I can't remember her name. She's fantastic. Like, she had some of the most heartbreaking, emotional... Like, she was dealing with the most hardcore emotional scenes throughout the things that that woman had to do to keep it together, to not fall apart, to have a moment of like just being human, but at the same time being a mother, a husband, a daughter. Oh my gosh, she is fantastic in this movie, and the kid also does a pretty good job. But really, I'm really impressed by both these actors as parents too, you know.
They killed it.
Yeah, so George, I'm going to throw it over to you. Golden popcorn for me, sorry.
All right, so I'm actually going to pull out a different perspective here.
Awesome, let's see it.
Okay, so I have a theory that most of the characters in this movie were actually based off of stereotypes. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that in each group, everyone in that group acted pretty close to the same way. So yeah, this movie had a lot of very interesting things. I loved how genuine everything felt, but at the same time, once I saw how much of it seemed kind of stereotypical, I had to kind of question myself on that. Am I just feeling this because of the stereotypes, or am I feeling this because, you know, this actually seems to be what it would, what people would actually do? So it was a really good movie, though. It was a very good movie. I loved. It's called nitpicking, where you have to pick something out just for the sake of. No, this is not nitpicking. Oh, really? Okay. This is not nitpicking.
All right, let's just do your spoiler review.
So yeah, I thought camera work was absolutely amazing. There's one of the shots they have where like it comes up above the vehicle as it's like going down a road.
Oh.
I love that view. It was great. I don't see that shot often enough in movies. There were a bunch of other things. Some of the, as you had said, the atmosphere. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. It was one of those things I'm just like, wow, that's so cool. And like at the time you were like, are you like this is a disaster? Why are you like thinking this is awesome? You know?
Wait, I said that?
Basically to me.
Wait, what?
Because I was like, wow, that's so cool, and you're like, the world is ending. What are you saying?
I'm like horrified. I'm like, oh my God, you can do it. You can get through this. And you're just like, hee.
Yep.
I don't understand your mind. How this is working.
Yeah. But it was. Some of the things where I have to admit, a lot of it I did find comical, and some of that. But
I think it's a coping mechanism.
I think it probably is actually. Yeah.
You laugh at a lot of messed up stuff. You thought Midsummer was a comedy.
Midsummer was, in a lot of ways, let's be honest.
It was comedic.
Are you kidding me?
There were so many scenes that were comedic.
The dinner table where they're all putting flowers on their head and then they're like doing this. I was dying. I'm like, this is so stupid.
They all died.
Okay.
I know, but that scene is still funny. And then they're like the old people. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna spoiler Midsummer. Don't watch it. Like, they fall to the ground, and then the bastard.
What was funny about that?
The guy goes, "It's just a different culture. It's normal for their culture. It's just." I was like, "This is so stupid. That is not realistic."
That's how people act.
No, I do not believe for 1 second an American guy in another culture going, "Oh, this is beautiful."
He wasn't American.
No, he was from their
The
culture.
Americans were the ones that were freaking out.
Right.
He was.
No.
He was a transfer student, basically.
Yeah, he grew up.
That guy was
culture,
a transfer student.
Was in America for like 6 months, and
they're like, "Oh, you brought more people." That's why at the very end of it, like the people who didn't bring back people had to also be part of this thing.
Okay, we're getting distracted. I just thought it was funny because it was so stupid, but nonetheless,
no, it was funny because it was tragic. So, anyways, so this. I really thought the acting was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that is the best part of this movie.
Gerard Butler acting traumatic. I've never seen that before. So this was really good
stuff. Yeah,
really good.
And sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. Just keep going. But it reminded me of something later that.
Okay. But yeah, the characters. A lot of the characters were really good. Some were unbelievably good though. Some were unbelievably bad as well. I have a hard time believing that that's actually what people would do, and I think that goes into the stereotype part of it. I think they were pulling out stereotypes and, let's say embellishing them a bit more.
Okay,
to make
I think you do need to talk spoilers. What's your final rating for this movie?
Okay, final rating for this movie. If you like natural disasters, if you like Gerard Butler, if you like just acting,
if you like suspense thrillers,
this movie was actually a really good movie, and I think this is one of the movies that would be really good to watch about now because it's as really, you were saying, this isn't. We're not in the worst case scenario.
That was Shannon, not me.
Yeah. Oh well, as you were saying, we are not in the worst case scenario.
No, we're not.
As a matter of fact, it could get a lot worse. So watch the news. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I would say watch this movie. It's good.
All right, go into your spoilers. What the heck did you want to say? Because it sounds like you just have to say it. All right, this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie, come check it out later. If you want to watch the movie, or if you don't care about spoilers, stick around to get spoilered. Go ahead, George.
Okay, so in regards to spoilers and why I brought up the fact that this seems like it's stereotyping people.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Okay, so when you went to the military base, everyone there had the same reactions.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, that's a stereotype. When you went to the store, all right, you had like this. I feel like this was more so like an embellishment in regards to like trying to draw out what could possibly happen like later on into it, right?
Okay.
So So they had you know, a gunfight scene in the store. They had 2 different gangs, it seemed like, that were going up against each other in it, and like just some of the reactions in that was a little weird. First off, I mean, maybe not for the neighborhood it was in. I don't know. Okay, I'm not too familiar with this. So then you had other stereotypes though, and the people that attacked Gerard Butler, it was like they didn't listen to any sense of reason. I have a hard time believing that even people that were trying to jump the border wouldn't listen to reason like that.
I mean, okay, so my friend's a cop, and he says one thing he always sees in repeated criminals or people who break the law, they don't think logically. They will make it worse for themselves every single time. So in a way, yes, it might look to you like, oh, that's just stupid because you're normal. You're not a criminal. But criminals and people like that would make the situation worse. And other people would be like, dude, like, I don't want to get involved. Like, I'm not stepping
that felt
in.
Very realistic.
Yeah. So I don't know how you thought. The only reason that those people in that situation got worse is because, like, the car ripped up, they all fell out of the truck, which was absolutely hilarious. They felt like dominoes. I just thought it was funny the way it looked. But it's not funny because it actually looks really bad. Like, they got hurt. But just the way that camera work was and how they fell out of the truck was just really funny.
I was laughing about, at that time, that was one of the other times I was laughing. Because I was thinking about it. I mean, like, can you imagine? You're just going down the road, right? And this is like the, like, you know, end of the world scenario kind of thing. I think at that time people didn't actually quite know it yet. No, actually they did. They knew it at that point. But you're just driving down the road. Let's say you're trying to get somewhere, right? For the end of the world, and you just suddenly see this tarp come off a truck. And there's a group of people just fighting in the back, like it's like, you know, a cage fight, and you're just like, what is this? Can you imagine? I was just dying of laughter right then.
I mean, it did look cartoony in a weird way. I mean, that's probably what it would look like, but it did look cartoony. I mean, I get it. Like, even the way they fell out, they all went like a dominoes, like everybody like one by one. Yeah. Like they all followed the same trajectory and fell over the truck. It was funny. It's not supposed to be funny, but it is. I mean, I get it. I think the scene that broke me during that scene was when he takes the guy and shoves the hammer into his head. But in that moment, I was like, whoa, watch out for that guy, because I'm going action Gerard Butler mode. Like, he's an action hero. But he's just like, oh my God, I just killed this guy. And he's like, he's just like affected by it. Well, in my brain, I'm like, oh, like in an action movie, he would be more aware of his surroundings and be like, oh, there's a bad guy behind me. But a real person, a normal person like him, who he's playing a dad, he would just be like, oh no, I killed him. And he would just be like, shocked. And then the guy who was dying was shocked. And this buddy, who would like watched his buddy get killed, like he's like, okay, wow, this is crazy, right? Like, so I had to like kind of go into that mode and I had to keep reminding myself, like, he's a regular guy. Because 4 movies I've seen of Gerard Butler. Geostorm. Did you ever see Geostorm? Where he's like a special agent who has to stop this machine that can cause weather around the world. It was really good.
No, I never watched that one.
It's so good. Action superhero kind of guy. This villain, he gets like the government. If you guys haven't seen Geostorm and you want a good, like, less realistic version of a world disaster, check out Geostorm. The government creates its own weather machine that can cause hurricanes, tsunamis, tornadoes, rain, blizzard, anything they want. And this like terrorist group gets control of these satellites that can cause storms, and they're just wreaking havoc throughout the planet. So Geostorm, being the super agent spy that he is, like, he has to go into space and fight the bad guys who took over the satellite, and he's a secret agent, and he's dating the president's daughter, and the president doesn't know.
Oh my gosh,
it's fantastic. But you know, like, my mind is still stuck in, like, I just saw Geostorm like a year ago, so I'm still like having a hard time like separating the funny, goofy, over-the-top disaster movie that is Geostorm, and the realistic, normal Gerard Butler who's just a dad trying to save his family. And I had to, like, my brain had to, like, keep switching back, like, no, he's not a superhero. He's not Vin Diesel who's gonna put a rope around the helicopter, like the spinning things, and make the car go into a tornado and take out all the bad guys with the machine gun out the window, or The Rock who's just gonna punch a missile and push the missile away.
That's what I'm saying. It's a normal family just living their life, and then a disaster happens, and it's like the Quiet Place in that way.
God,
normal people.
Yeah.
Just so everyone is aware how bad the pandemic has and the quarantine has been for us, we had tickets to A Quiet Place 2 in our hand.
Devastated.
And then China came and ruined it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna say that.
John Krasinski, I wanted to be there for you.
I mean, we're still gonna get a chance to see it now that everything's being released on demand anyway. I'm
John
sure
Krasinski's alive in it?
Yeah, it's a flashback. They had flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm like, he's
definitely
dead. I didn't catch that.
I was like, wait a minute.
He did.
He wrote it.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to see it.
Well, that's good.
Any idea when it comes out? No one knows?
No one knows. I'm sure eventually soon. Anyways, the point is, we're getting distracted again.
Yeah.
The point is, like, it was nice to see you really did, like, someone like me who just saw Geostorm, I did have to close my brain off and be like, he's not a superhero. He's just a regular guy. And I really appreciated that. And one of the things that I really wanted to talk about in the spoilers was, and this is actually true, you can look it up. I learned this like 2-3 years ago. I watched a whole documentary on it because, like, I think it was on History Channel or the Science Channel or the Discovery Channel. I don't know. I was flipping through channels. So, did you know that in Greenland there are bunkers that are full of, or was it North Pole? Somewhere, like, I think it is Greenland or like North Pole, South Pole, somewhere.
The movie's called Greenland, so I'm assuming it's Greenland.
It might be, but I might be confusing it just because it looks very similar to the documentary.
So,
they have, look it up, they have these bunkers full of different animals, it's like an underground ark. Yep, plant seeds, vegetable seeds, fruit seeds, and they do have a lottery system, and the governments around the world, including the UN, does have a list of people.
What?
Yeah, because the government thinks about this stuff. Like they have contingency plans for basically everything. So every plant, every vegetable, every weed, every fruit, everything is like all the seeds are stocked away in this bunker somewhere in North Pole, South Pole. Somebody look it up and you can tell me where. It's really cool. So it really reminded me of that, and I thought, yeah, that's like all of.
It's based on, then.
It must be because like
another movie that this reminded me of was Downsizing.
I hated that movie.
Yeah,
I loved that. I loved it. I thought that was hilarious. Yes.
Oh.
Anyways, long story short, we're getting distracted again.
Yeah.
The thing I liked is because they did talk about in the documentary that the government does have a list in case an asteroid hits what is it called, the water that like shoots up in the national park in America. It's
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful.
Yeah.
So that volcano, if that explodes, you know what's going to happen if that thing explodes?
Oh, we're doomed.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah, like it'll destroy half of the United States.
Guess it's our time to go then. That's how I feel about it.
Well, yeah.
I feel the same way the grandpa felt in this movie.
Well,
I guess if the good Lord wants to take me home, I'm ready to go. Take me to heaven. That's how I feel.
Again, I think the reason he said that, one, he lost his wife. He's lived his life. He's almost 80. Like, he doesn't have responsibility. Mm-hmm. He really just, when you're at that age, you're like, you're not riding motorcycles and running around like a kid anymore. You're kind of getting old and fragile. You can prove me wrong, George, anytime you like.
I'll try.
All right, guys,
sorry. So, I just, very fascinating. It is based on surprisingly real science, which is, I really appreciated that.
That was really good.
Except for the part that if an asteroid size of the dinosaurs hit, it wouldn't take 9 months for the atmosphere to clear up. It would take decades. Probably hundreds of years.
Mount St. Helen took about a decade.
That's right.
That's hardly anything.
And that's hardly anything compared to like a dinosaur level asteroid hitting us. That was the only thing that bugged me about realism in this movie. If I had to nitpick, it was like 9 months. You wish, like more like 90 years or 900 years.
Well, the only other thing that frustrated me too was the fact I know they were trying to basically show locations and like kind of what happened to them.
Yeah.
But they would have been a lot worse than that.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true.
I'm sorry, but you wouldn't have the Eiffel Tower standing in any shape or form. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we can keep talking, but we should end. All right, guys, we got Wonder Woman 2 coming up. We got Pixar Souls coming up. Those are our 2 big releases.
That's what I'm excited for.
Our goal is to watch it that day or 2 and have it up ready to go. So we'll keep you guys posted. Look out for next reviews. Thank you for checking us out. Shannon, do you want to close us off?
Yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate the over 1,500 views we got on SpongeBob. Thank you for all your emails, all your texts, everything that you guys have sent in. Keep liking, subscribing, commenting. We're getting close to that 1,000 viewers that we want on YouTube. So invite like 3,000 of your closest friends to follow us, and we'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.
Keep the movies out.
Take care.